Is Donald Trump really above the law? Hi, I'm Dr. David Adler, president of the Alturas Institute and a constitutional scholar. Let's talk about it. That's what Donald Trump claimed in a motion that he filed to the federal district court overseeing the federal election interference case. Happily for our nation, Judge Chutkan rejected that in a piercing, rock-solid opinion delivered on December 1, denying that President Trump was above the law or possessed anything that would remotely resemble immunity from criminal prosecution. If Donald Trump had prevailed, it would have meant that the president was above the law, that he could violate any of the nation's laws and could never be punished. That's a very bold, audacious, and frightening claim. Let's take a look at why Judge Chutkan's opinion was so very good, and indeed it represents a historic landmark opinion. First and foremost, as the judge pointed out, there's nothing in the text of the Constitution that speaks to the idea of immunity from criminal prosecution. You'll search in vain the entire text and you'll come up empty. And there's a good reason for that. The framers of the Constitution were primarily interested when they created the presidency in subordinating the president to the rule of law. This was a hard-won victory for America because nobody had been able to accomplish that in the course of world history. Indeed, our founding fathers were keenly aware of the abusive nature of executive power stretching across the centuries, and of course they had firsthand experience under King George III. The last thing they were going to do was to create a newly minted presidency that included the same protection that the King of England did. English law said the king can do no wrong. For a nation such as ours that was rebelling against that legal system, there'd be no earthly reason for the framers to recreate on American soil an American monarchy. And so the framers wisely rejected the idea of clothing the president with any king-like authority. Thus, it's no surprise that there was no discussion in the Constitutional Convention, or in the various state ratifying conventions for that matter, about the idea of giving the president prosecution from immunity. Indeed, in the Constitutional Convention, James Wilson, who, by the way, was second in importance only to James Madison as an architect of the Constitution, told his colleagues that the president would not enjoy a single privilege not annexed to all the other citizens. That's a powerful statement. The president would be like all of us, subject to the law. Charles Pinckney of South Carolina, a very powerful member of the South Carolina delegation to the Constitutional Convention, explained to his colleagues in South Carolina and years later to the United States Senate that indeed Congress would enjoy certain benefits, certain immunities that were not granted to the president. Indeed, in Article 1 of the Constitution, as you may know, members of Congress are protected from arrest as they come and go during a congressional session, unless, that is, they commit a felony, engage in breach of the peace, because the work of the nation is so important. But the framers had the opportunity to grant a similar immunity to the president, but obviously decided not to. That speaks very greatly to the interest of the framers in protecting members of Congress, but not entrusting to the president that same kind of protection. And again, that's entirely understandable in light of the founding fathers' dread fear of a powerful executive. So nothing in the text of the Constitution, nothing in the Constitutional Convention, or indeed the state ratifying conventions to indicate that the president enjoys immunity from prosecution. Thus, Donald Trump's claim to immunity from prosecution fell flat. Judge Chutkan's powerful opinion represents the embodiment of a judicial commitment to the rule of law. And let's give her a round of applause, because that represented a powerful blow for the defense of the nation. And it happened to dovetail that same day with the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals denial to Donald Trump of a motion to grant him immunity from civil suits. Taken together, those two suits represent a powerful rebuke to Donald Trump and give us great encouragement that March 4th will be a historic day when Donald Trump goes on trial for his attempt to overturn illegally the election of 2020. I'm Dr. David Adler with the Alturas Institute. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.